that really struck me, and I think is brave and I think unusual, is that you have what I would imagine quite deliberately chose to do, which is to talk about the terrible things that Christians have done over years, before you speak about the stuff that Muslims have done and actually are still doing. None of this stuff is easy to talk about, because it's, when I was reading it, I thought it's just so upsetting and so disappointing and so frustrating that people so-called in the name of our faiths, which we consider to be very important to us, can do this stuff. On a kind of, just on an ordinary, basic, humane level, it's just awful. But I'm very glad you did it, because we need to do it. And so what was that about? What's the thinking there about that part one, where you've spoken a lot about your own faith's history of bad stuff first, and then went on to the Muslim. What was that about?
Well, I think the tendency is, because there's a lot of bad stuff happening in our communities, the tendency is for us to point the finger at one another and critique one another and attack one another for those bad things, which is very easy to do. The trouble is that escalates the conflict between us. So maybe naming things that are factual, but actually the process is conflictual, because it escalates the conflict. So I was reading a part of the Gospels one day where Jesus said, when you're making a judgment, take the log out of your own eye before you try to take the speck out of somebody else's. And I thought, well, that's a key to interfaith reflections. We need to have an appreciation of the good in the other, but do some critical reflection on the bad in our own traditions. And so my whole approach to this was, as a Christian, to start with a critical reflection of my own tradition and the violence that Christians have committed against Muslims.